Southern California is known for sunshine and prime time, with the relaxing beach just a few miles away from the non-stop action returning to San Diego's Snapdragon Stadium this weekend. Ride the wave of stats and numbers from the sand to the dirt in this week's event preview only on MonsterHub. Surf's up! Stadium West hits the repeat button this week with two more San Diego events before heading back up the road to Anaheim next week. Already, this tour is shaping up to join the rest of 2026 as a searing hot contest to claim the automatic bid to World Finals 25. And beyond the leading group, competition's even tighter. Ryan Anderson and Tyler Menninga head the charge with a son of a digger and grave digger 1-2 punch, but Bari Musawers kept them honest, trailing his undead zombie only a competition behind at time of this writing. Fourth place Dalton Widener carries barely more than that advantage over ninth place Mike Christensen, with Bryce Kenny, Corey Rummel, Zach Garner, and John Gordon all fighting for breathing room in the midst of a clustered midfield. Competition wins from Rummel and Gordon on Sunday did nothing to separate them from the scrum on the points page, nor did Saturday's racing triumph prevent Colvin Ard from slipping to 10th on one of the most balanced lineups ever put together. Bear in mind, Jamie Garner and Caleb Blood are stadium winners in their own rights. Can Snapdragon Stadium's second stanza help clarify this depth of field, or are we truly in for enough memorable points battles crammed into one stadium tour to fill an ocean of mud, sweat, and gears? Aside from a select few driver highlights, stats point toward the latter. In that case, hang on to your life rafts. 2026 Stadium West might just be the tightest tour ever contested. Everyone's coming back for more seafood tacos and incredible combos. Thanks to Week 2, all drivers on Stadium West have at least 2 previous appearances in Snapdragon Stadium. Most have far more. Since moving into the venue in 2023, Monster Jam sent the same championship series here for both weekends each year, giving its competitors either 0 or up to 4 starts in the home of the San Diego State Aztecs. This monotony gives Bari Musauer an undeniable familiarity with the venue. Bari's brought Zombie here every year since the stadium opened to monster truck action. In fairness, he only has 1 year's worth of events a leg up on the next 4 longest tenured drivers. Mike Christensen, Ryan Anderson, Corey Rummel, and Tyler Menninga have all hit double-digit entries in this venue. Monster Jam history in San Diego proper extends beyond 2023, with many drivers in this lineup making starts in Petco Park from 2015 to 2022, and the son of a digger driver even laying claim to 2 appearances in Qualcomm Stadium from his career beginnings. As the drivers keep coming back here season after season, so do these identities. Gravedigger attending every Snapdragon Stadium event is a given, considering how stadium lineups are built in the current era, but San Diego's also had a full slate of action from Zombie, El Toro Loco, and Megalodon, with Son of a Digger and Vendetta both only missing 1 year, 4 events, apiece since 2023. This year, though, Southern California gets a bit more truck variety. Overboard Motorsports brings their 4-truck brigade to the west, and while Jamie Garner and John Gordon are campaigning Monster Jam identities for the regular season, the City in Motion gets its first taste in this venue of Black Pearl, and its first overall sighting of 2024 World Finals racing champion Wildside. And that doesn't even mention all the new trucks kicking in on the coast this year. Bailey Circuit, Wreck Deck, and Shell Shocked all made competition debuts in the postseason last year, putting San Diego among their earliest stadium appearances. And for the Ringling-inspired machine, Corey Rummel brought its first ever stadium start here back in Week 2. Before competition kicks off in the Golden State, let's take a deeper look into each of these 12 drivers' relevant statistics. Cue the confetti and the fanfare, because Caleb Blood's bringing the 6-ton unicorn back down to San Diego this weekend. Not often are Monster Jam drivers presented with immediate shots at redemption like this, a running theme in 2026 apparently. Blood looks to put a spark in Sparkle Smash's Stadium West Point chase, and that starts by exacting revenge on the track where she already had to scratch an appearance from a blown motor in Week 2. A turnaround is not only welcome for the 4-time World Finals competitor, it's sorely needed. Kayla struggled along the road in her first season wheeling the unicorn, with mechanical gremlins following her from Soldier Fortune to Sparkle Smash. Now they're chasing her from chassis to chassis, showing no signs of slowing down in Blood's new piece. Her output in any competition isn't immune from this attrition, but it's especially highlighted in freestyle. Since donning the unicorn body, Kayla's only filled the total 2 minutes in 6 of her 35 stadium routines, not counting World Finals 24, and issues like rear drive power and broken planetaries affected even her complete efforts. Now, that nearly didn't matter last weekend, as Blood earned the highest fan score in freestyle despite leaving 13 seconds on the clock. But pacing the entire routine brings with it valuable points, and she needs all the points she can get to make up for lost time on the road back to Salt Lake City. Jamie Garner's running into his own roadblocks early in 2026 too, with the Overboard frontman now positioned as the only El Toro Loco representative without a competition win in the Bulls' 25th anniversary. This matador has beef to settle with San Diego as well. On this tour's opening week, Garner failed to complete minimum time in both freestyle competitions. Power issues the first night and the snap tie rod in the Sunday matinee helped to bury him in the back of the points chase. Jamie has extra reason to hit the smoke this weekend. To further pump up the vengeance on deck for Stadium West's Big Mad Bull, Jamie finished no better than last in either Anaheim freestyle competition, but there's optimism to be had for the fourth-year Toro driver. His Sunday performance this past weekend finally shook all the mechanical woes from his piece, and despite being the only driver not to backflip in the event, Garner strung together a full 2 minutes of powerful action complete with the big leaps we've come to expect from Overboard Airlines. A run like that in any other event this year would have at least finished in the midfield. The stars simply aligned for all of Anaheim 2's competitors to put together brilliant routines. Jamie should have a bit more confidence entering rounds 5 and 6 of this tour. And for your Toro 25th factoid, he's returning to the place Armando Castro claimed an overall event championship at to kick off the 2025 point series. Avast! Now we're in the bands of the storm, mateys! Cole Bernard won a racing competition last weekend and finds himself scrapping at the back of the point sheet. If that's any indication for how 2026's ST West is going to go, I'm getting the sense we may have another 2023 Stadium Blue on our hands, with the vast majority of this lineup getting main field tickets to World Finals. Bernard won his way out of the last chance qualifier to compete in Rice-Eccles last year, but his racing and freestyle stats indicate no reason to send him back through that gauntlet again just yet. Admittedly, Anaheim 1 is the only bracket that Cole has won rounds of racing in this year so far, but considering his San Diego opener included a scratch at the staging light and a steering issue into the very first corner of the season, I have a feeling Bernard's racing performance will look more like Week 3 than Week 2 by the end of the season. So why is he in the caboose quartile with the point spread? While 3 of his 4 wheelie pops and 2-wheel skills have been successful thus far, they've netted him a median 4 points in the discipline, a far cry from the top of the chart, or his Indianapolis 2020 effort that garnered him his only stadium victory in the discipline. And while Cole's technical prowess should never be disrespected or even called into question, he hasn't quite found the wow moment in 3 of his 4 freestyle routines to ascend back to that opening runner-up. Continuing up the charts on this talent-stacked lineup, Mike Christensen netted his first competition win of 2026, the first time Monster Jam trekked to San Diego this year, putting together a picture-perfect stoppy moonwalk combo and rocking back into a breathtaking wheelie bar moment in a Throttle Monster sweep of the top 2 skills positions. A runner-up racing effort to Bernard in Anaheim should theoretically have Christensen knocking on the door of his first main field ticket to World Finals while the event's still in his backyard. Like Cole, Mike's slip back to this part of the point sheet has little to do with his driving talent and much more to do with how that talent's being received by Judges' Zone. Christensen went back to the combo well in Anaheim 1 and pulled off the same maneuver with decent success, only to be met with a fan score nearly a point lower than the experts' assessment. The Vendetta driver's freestyle run that night met the same fate, and though I am a bit confused what other drivers did to earn higher expert scores than Mike's 7.3, that's a much better view of his consistent routine than the 6.463 tossed out by Southern California's crowd. To date, Christensen has had a feast or famine experience with Snapdragon Stadium. 2 of his 5 stadium competition victories come from this venue, as do many of the DNCs dotting his output. He'll have to avoid the latter to keep the momentum rolling on his excellent season start. John Gordon drives Megalodon on this tour, and after notching a racing win and falling just short to Ryan Anderson for a freestyle victory, he's gone from trusted pinch hitter to potential World Finals candidate across the open sea of available sharps. To drive that home, Gordon is so far the only driver to dispatch Tyler Menninga in racing this season, a feat he's pulled off twice now, flipping the script on his loss in the San Diego 2 finals. He's clearly lost no speed in his time away from stadium competition. He might not be at the controls of Loose Cannon Racing's bad company this season, but John has taken the reins of another team's fourth machine before, touring with Corey Rummel back in 2018 in Team Scream's Scooby-Doo piece. But if he can ever break out of this 11th place rut he's dug into in skills, Gordon is positioning himself in 2026 to grab his first career Stadium Overall Event Championship, and either the track knows this or this is a subconscious concern in his competitors' minds. John advanced through the San Diego 2 bracket with fast passes and a consecutive string of spins and crashes from his opponents. He lost the argument with a container in San Diego 1, but switched gears to 2 clean mini flips against the back of the pit-side jammer in Anaheim. The Georgia boys made headlines with such an obstacle before, and just might use it again to return to the championship battle where he rightfully belongs. Completing the quad squadron of Overboard Motorsports contenders, Zach Garner spearheads the group's efforts with Wildside bubbling just under the upper half of the title fight. Don't let that surprisingly low win count fool you. Zach is among the most consistent competitors in the business, and his double up on 2025's World Finals main field silver medals is a cross-discipline pace rarely exceeded by his peers. But it does surprise me a bit that his last stadium-sized event championship dates all the way back to the second Atlanta event in 2021. Contrary to the name emblazoned on his Chevrolet, Garner's wild side isn't some sort of unrelenting recklessness. He's built a career on consistency and raw pace, and was able to challenge Adam Anderson and clear Todd LeDuc on his maiden stadium points chase last year. In 2026's first 4 rounds, he's finished no worse than 6th in racing despite fighting some mechanical woes on his last trip to San Diego. Zach could use a kickstart in the scored competitions, and for what it's worth, I'm absolutely of the opinion Anaheim 2 offered just that. A clean slap-stoppy after walking out from the middle hill landed him just behind 3 other combinations, while his early freestyle sent him soaring for 2 full minutes complete with a sweet mini-flip. If he can blend his big air technique with well-timed wow moments like San Diego 2's barrel roll recovery, Garner can separate himself from this season's packed midfield. On the surface, sure, putting Corey Rummel in the highlighter-infused brightness of Ringling's Bailey circuit identity seems like one of the oddest pairings since Sam Sturgis drove Jailbird, but strip away the yellow and magenta hyperfuel and take the robot for what it is. Rummel is a mechanical mastermind that excelled in wheeling his rage creation to wow moment after wow moment, regardless of fiberglass shell. And since he's moved into a full-time seat of a truck built at 80% the weight of his CRC, Corey's proven he and this RoboPup can fly. Rummel clicked off his first competition victory behind the wheel of a Monster Jam in-house piece last Sunday, bouncing Bailey circuit into a barrel roll recovery off the pit-side tabletop to punctuate a championship-caliber routine. But it's his Saturday performance in Angel Stadium that had the crowd roaring. Even though he left 35% of time on the clock, Corey started that run with a heart-stopping recovery and later delivered a 1-2 punch with his front wheels against the back of the far tabletop in a sort of parallel cartwheel to the ground, a turntable rotation, if you will. Rummel's acrobatics have helped nothing in racing, with 2 mistakes in a row kicking his points effort in that discipline lower than likely expected out of the former Last Chance qualifier winner. That said, by his post-freestyle interview on Sunday, Corey's clearly having fun. And considering his high-flying antics in Week 2, we might be in for another gravity-defying classic. Bryce Kenny bid farewell again to MonsterHub after notching more stadium competition wins in the original Brown Dog than anyone else in its history in just a few months. Now, he's building up the legacy of Spin Master and Monster Jam's newest collaboration, a giant skateboard. Wreck Deck kicked into the bowl with a rail grind at World Finals 24, and Kenny's gnarly style has carried over to the new piece seamlessly, though he's still looking to bring the identity to the winner's stage. He's got some time still to do so in SoCal. The horsepower-infused fingerboard earned its own hook intro in Anaheim, yanking the spotlight away from El Toro Loco's 25th anniversary and Son of a Digger's 15th, as if to say, "Look at me, I'm the next big thing!" Whether or not Wreck Deck has a mind of its own, Bryce has had his fair share of struggling to find balance with its speed, losing control of the board in 4 of his 5 racing rounds this season. But what Kenny has lacked in lateral corner grip this year, he's made up for in longitudinal control. Last time out in San Diego, he walked a tombstone stoppie out far enough to slap it back up and toward the middle of the track. For both his Anaheim attempts, he took advantage of the wide open space out from the middle hill to take the board across the track on its nose a ways. If Bryce and the crew can get the skateboard to stop trying kickflips in the final turns, this could be the lowest he lands on the point sheet all year. No longer at the controls of a prehistoric beast, Dalton Widener bid Jurassic Attack farewell in July and introduced the world to his own creation, Shell-Shocked. So far, there's nothing slow about this turtle. Dalton hasn't notched a victory on his new snapper's belt yet, but when it's been running at full tilt like it seemed to in Anaheim last weekend, he's reminded everyone just why he's a World Finals caliber talent this early in his driving career. Now his recharged turtle comes back to San Diego for round 2. Shell-Shocked might technically be a freshwater identity, but with an extra week to adjust to the salty sea air of the California coast, Widener has his new piece freestyling at full song. Both Anaheim routines put his talent behind the wheel on glass case display, 4 minutes filled with non-stop air, 2 clean backflips, slap wheelies, donuts, and even a nosedive save to bump his Saturday evening flow to a podium. Dalton, like Zach Garner earlier, put up a 2-wheel combo on Sunday worthy of challenging the sidewalls strung together by Menninga and Anderson. These early efforts position him in the upper third of the points table even with the battery issues that cut his first San Diego effort short in 3 competitions. Assuming these electrical kinks are worked out now, there's no reason to doubt Dalton's ability to power to the top of the charts, and maybe even earn his first career stadium freestyle victory along the way. Anybody who thought Bari Musauer's runner-up points finish last season was a fluke better think again before his zombie feasts on those brains. The 15-year Monster Jam veteran is well overdue for some championship gold to tack onto his resume, and he started the year right where he left off 2025, wrapping the first San Diego weekend just 2 points behind Tyler Menninga. Musauer has a bit more ground to make up after Anaheim, though, but he also has plenty of time to catch the battle in front of him on the point sheet. Bari's Anaheim output didn't quite hit the same high notes as his opening romp in San Diego, so a return visit to Snapdragon Stadium might be just what the underworld ordered. That said, his statistical floor in 2026 already has the same height to it as Menninga and Anderson. Musauer has finished no worse than 8th in any one competition so far. Looking through last year's results, it's rare to find Bari in the bottom quartile. In domestic points events, his last true slip-up dates all the way back to a failure to complete minimum time in Houston last February. The title on this tour may simply come down to which championship contender blinks first, and with a record like this, Musauer likely won't be quick to stumble. His next goal? Get back to the racing finals, and avoid the final turn spins and flips that have hindered 3 of his 5 passes this year. I'll embarrass myself here by saying I've never actually read the Dickens novel I'm about to reference, but Southern California has always been a tale of 2 cities for Tyler Menninga. It's the best of times in San Diego. It's rarely ever the worst of times with the guy who's won 7 tour titles, but it's usually the not greatest of times in Anaheim. Maybe Menninga just really likes SeaWorld. In any event, a return to Snapdragon Stadium just might reset the points board and put the black and green wrecking machine back on top. Tyler's stranglehold on the Snapdragon Stadium record books will be on full display later in this video, so I'll use the space to talk about what went wrong in Anaheim, as if a 50-point weekend indicates anything went south, but this driver did kick off the season with a perfect event. Be it track conditions or depth perception of the baseball field's St. Louis course, Menninga clipped the middle hill in both of his losing Angel Stadium passes, adding to the coincidental trend of drivers running into uncharacteristic trouble while battling John Gordon in 2026. The Gravedigger driver won skills on Sunday, sure, but it took a second attempt and a long bicycle out before the sidewall to grab the gold. And while Tyler rocked the house with a runner-up freestyle in the tour's most recent event, I can't help but wonder if those 20 seconds left unused due to a bent forelink held the fraction of a point he needed to pass Corey Rummel. Inarguably one of the greatest monster truck drivers of all time, 16-year vet Ryan Anderson enters 2026 with 4 Stadium Series titles and 2 main field World Finals championships in his trophy collection. Many competitors could only dream of that win count, but for the son of a digger pilot, it's almost surprising he doesn't have more gold. His double overall weekend in Angel Stadium has crashed the Tyler Bari reunion party at the front of this year's battle, though, and Anderson carries that momentum back down to Snapdragon Stadium. Ryan recently eclipsed the century mark in both stadium racing and stadium freestyle wins, elite company shared by no one in the former, at least counting forward from January 2000, and only Tom Mentz in the latter, who stands at 112 recorded outside of World Finals events, a benchmark son of a digger could leap over potentially as quickly as this season. Win counts like these are an imprecise science with how little data is truly available, what constitutes a stadium, should championship events be counted separately as I do, all that fun analytical stuff that keeps me up at night. But for this first ballot Hall of Famer, Anderson's early performance already matches the energy of his back-to-back title runs out of the global shutdown. His lowest scoring event thus far, a 23-point showing in San Diego 1, still finished third at the end of the night. He's on a lightning-quick pace, sure to bury the competition if they misstep even once. Okay, you've got the lineup. That's enough of my rambling for now. It's time to let the numbers do the talking. Get your table reading glasses ready, because we're about to dive into the deep end of stadium bracket racing statistics, from career totals to 2026 info to venue specifics. Stadium West features dozens of head-to-head rivalries built upon tours worth of previous matchups, some dating back to before these drivers competed full-time. Tenure stacks many of Ryan Anderson's matches at the top of the history tables, and the son of a digger driver holds the high ground in the vast majority of those meetings. Another trip to Snapdragon Stadium just provides 22 more battles to add to these records, enough time to potentially let Dalton Widener complete the lineup's gauntlet by racing Anderson, Rummel, Venard, and Gordon at some point this weekend. But even if the chalk tends to talk here, with an automatic bid in round 2 netting 10 of 14 victories and 21 of 28 final round tickets, San Diego's hosted a handful of bracket-busting moments. Mike Christensen barged past Bari Wisauer, Camden Murphy, Ryan Anderson, and Adam Anderson to capture a victory here in 2024. There's plenty of data to sort through here, so feel free to go back a few seconds and pause to see where your favorite driver stacks up head-to-head. Snapdragon Stadium's youth as a venue has been countered with the statistics equivalent of drinking from the fire hose. 4 events a year within 3 weeks of each other leads to this place already handing out over a dozen wins in each discipline, and that pace doesn't look to be slowing anytime soon. As such, Tyler Menninga comes into San Diego's second dose of Stadium West with an extra mission. He's already collected 10 racing victories in this city, but the first dates back to 2022, when Menninga wheeled Gravedigger to the final Petco Park bracket win in his first full-time stadium tour. He's been unstoppable in the college football stadium with only 1 round loss on record. Crossing over into double-digit competition wins in this venue, and potentially a dozen racing triumphs in San Diego altogether, would put him in legendary company reached only by a select few. Tyler's only loss in this building? The first final round in Snapdragon's record, granting John Gordon his first ever stadium racing win by 0.027 seconds. After all that speeding through racing, I need a break. I need a little control. I need some balance, some precision. That's right, it's time for more numbers. Get those decimal points ready, because now we're covering two-wheel skills. If anyone thinks Meninga's Snapdragon domination is letting up before intermission, think again. Tyler owns an average two-wheel skills score here higher than the personal best efforts set by all but 2 of his competitors. Drivers who aim to take Gravedigger down a peg in the discipline this weekend better bring their A-game. The same could be said for the wheelman out of Oskaloosa, though. Tyler may have 2 skills victories this season already, but he needed the help of that second attempt availability on Sunday in Anaheim, and his other 2 attempts this season haven't exactly gone according to plan despite scoring well. Bicycle sidewall combinations have been scoring well this season, case in point Tyler and Ryan going 1-2 last Sunday, but should they slip or need to revert to soppies and moonwalks, the rest of this tour's upper crust has honed their nose-down craft to a science, leaving the door open for a Kenny or Widener win depending how the San Diego dirt shakes down this weekend. Be it San Diego's unpredictable dirt or Southern California's hard-to-read fan scoring tendencies, Snapdragon Stadium's top scorers split a healthy dose of bicycle and stoppie tricks with one common thread: combinations. A pure bike or a pure tombstone approach likely won't be enough to rocket to the top of the leaderboard by themselves. Under the new format, Ryan Anderson and Bryce Kenny both paid some price for their missed first attempts in Week 2, but it'll be difficult to quantify that exact cost until we have a bit deeper a data set. Kenny's consistency across both landed attempts from Event 1 to Event 2 shows about a 0.4 of a point drop-off across expert and fan. Drivers willing to try the sidewall better hold on to it for more than half a rotation as well, and be able to settle the trick. Neither Tyler Meninga nor Ryan Anderson were able to land podiums in the last Sunday show in this building, and both fell behind Bari Musauer's Sky Wheelie. Don't rule that classic trick out as a way for a surprising face to swipe valuable points for more technical moves. We've covered speed, we've covered skill. What about style? Monster Jam's freestyle competition lets drivers attack the track every which way they desire, so let's dive back into the numbers and see what the stats have to say about the sport's pinnacle discipline. Not even Tyler Meninga's domination carries to freestyle in Snapdragon Stadium. Perfect naming rights choice for a venue whose dirt monsters grip and claim even the most decorated competitors. In this building's 14-event history, drivers have completed just 77% of available time, and that brushes aside the not insignificant handful of DNCs on the leaderboard. Of those, Mike Christensen's missed 4 of his 10 opportunities to freestyle here, while John Gordon and Bari Musauer have also had to sit out after halftime from mechanical attrition. The value of that final 30 seconds comes into play constantly in San Diego, with fans historically rewarding routines that can finish the full time, barring extraneous circumstances, such as the atmospheric river that crossed its path in Monster Jam's second ever weekend competing here, which led to Tyler Meninga and Cynthia Gauthier braving the flood and turning in 2 unbelievable backflips. The backflip still has a bit of a Titan's hold on earning a high score here, but it's not the only ingredient in a recipe for a San Diego victory. Snapdragon fans also look for wow moments and displays of full truck control. Scores here in prior years carry a ceiling low enough for current events with the expert judge's opinion thrown in to still land among the top routines, with both Tyler Meninga and Bari Musauer vaulting into the best 10 after Week 2's runs. I'd point to Bari's 2 efforts in the top 6 scores as crystal clear examples of how to grab gold in this venue. Musauer's classic approach to freestyle tends to combine surgical precision with unstoppable obstacle pace. Trick combination and variety scores well here, so any dash of two-wheel action in the air or on the ground, or even better out of a backflip, could bring a valuable boost to a technical display of perfection. Oh boy, did Week 3 pile up our plates for this edition of Food for Thought. Over in St. Louis, Jim Kohler pulled off the unthinkable. Nothing groundbreaking or brand new to the sport, but still mind-blowing enough for comment. After a decent 90 or so seconds of jumping from obstacle to obstacle, Avenger's 29-year vet lined up for the mini-flip embedded in the tabletop. A bit of an over-rotation sent the right rear wheel flying. In modern Monster Jam events, this usually marks the end of the run, and production functioned no different in the Dome at America Center by tossing up the judge's own QR code and having the host team wrap the routine. But Kohler had other ideas. Whether an electrical malfunction or some other error, Jim hauled Avenger across the track, eventually hanging his Bel Air up on the side of the middle hill. When the dust settled, Kohler's run had no more hits than teammate Kevin Crocker's, and left 20 seconds on the clock, 30 if you stop at the mini-flip landing. But Missouri's crowd handed Jim the second highest fan score of the competition, a 9.557 to Camden Murphy's 9.72, and both live and online onlookers threw up their pitchforks to the expert judge's 7.4. Frankly, I'm confused why this freestyle of all freestyles elicits this vitriolic a reaction. For decades, the spectacle surrounding monster truck competition glittered under an extra sheen of destruction. Half the battle was completing the event, let alone doing it in style. But as the sport, and specifically as freestyle, has evolved, so too has the bar been raised. Or at least it should be. Kohler's three-wheel runaway added only 10 seconds of value to his routine, bringing no jumps or stunts with it aside from getting hung up on the side of the middle hill. So why did an otherwise run-in-the-mill run smack the expert with a proverbial tomato shower for a somewhat appropriate score? Food for Thought this week isn't exactly about debating the fairness of expert judges in and of themselves. The concept is clearly necessary as evidenced from Anaheim 2. Rather, what value does destruction inherently add to a monster truck event in and of itself? Tearing a 12,000-pound beast apart corner from corner is a visual art. But does the perseverance of the steel chariot matter more than the skill and precision it takes to keep the machine that shouldn't be able to fly per some laws of physics in one piece? Looking around the map at Week 4 action, Stadium East inches westward from St. Louis to San Antonio, where JCB Digatron debuted in 2024. Brandon Arthur nabbed an overall event championship last weekend to solidify the team's runner-up point standing, and even as the buzz circulates around circumstances for the driver he replaced, give Arthur his flowers for converting a rare domestic stadium appearance into 2 competition victories. Freestyle Mania's action stole the show last weekend in Smashville, where half the lineup put up routines that should probably get award considerations at the end of the season. Case in point, Brianna Mahan's unbelievable double recovery run in the Saturday night event. The tour now heads to Newark for its first 4-show weekend. With MJ Solorio and Cody Saucier fighting their equipment, the Robbins brothers might join fellow independent John Zimmer Jr. in a sweep of the Washington, D.C. podium positions. Montana's Plain Crazy took its next evolution in Baltimore, but not to be denied, Brother Triton secured the Sunday afternoon overall to put Crazy Train on top of the pod. And despite a harrowing moment on Friday derailing Alex Barden's early racing success, Team Throttle Monster regrouped for Tim Hall Jr. to grab 2 of Tacoma's overall event championships. Blake Granger and Armando Castro put together perfect events, though, so we'll see who has the prevailing momentum as the group hits Sacramento for another 4-show frenzy. If you feel like you're drifting out to sea with all these stats, let's recap you out of the riptide. Tyler Menninga and Ryan Anderson have split the hot starts of Stadium West this season, with Barry Musauer close behind, and all 3 head back to San Diego with varying degrees of success, if not total domination in this building outright. But between Corey Rummel in the mud and John Gordon against the odds, this college gridiron venue has seen its share of surprise victors before. And on that note, who stands out as MonsterHub's driver to watch this week? If previous Snapdragon Stadium success is anything to go by, bow down, because King Mike is coming back for his crown. And no, I'm not just saying this because I'm intimidated by the Vendetta list. Christensen's on the hottest start of his Monster Jam career, point standings be shunned, and with this new leaf he's turned in 2-wheel skills and his propensity to throw down fantastic freestyles early in the game, don't be surprised if Team Throttle Monster's captain brings some golden treasure back to Ogden, Utah. I hope you've enjoyed this week's surf along the coast of Monster Jam statistics. There'll be plenty more waves to ride in 2026. Drop a like if you feel ready to soak in this weekend's Snapdragon Stadium action, and hit the subscribe button so you don't miss any event previews for the season. Take a coffee break with me next week as we log some more flight miles on the way to Arena Series East in Providence, Rhode Island, only on MonsterHub. MonsterHub is not affiliated with Monster Jam or Feld Entertainment. All driver names, truck names, and other associated intellectual property belong to their respective owners and are referenced in this video for sake of statistics and clarity only.